All right, I'm Dr. Scott French. Thanks for joining us, and this is Father Tom Dowling, and I am here talking about the way, truth, and the life. We're going to talk about how the Eucharist really is Jesus Christ, that we do have an immortal soul, and that we have we are resurrected. We have a bodily resurrection with science and faith come together. So I'm going to give you a why me, why am I doing this, and give you the story of how why I'm here giving you this talk. So I come from a very poor family. I was raised Catholic, but didn't really understand the faith. At age 12, my dad was struggling financially, and he was actually a life insurance agent, and he decided the only way to help the family while we were about to be kicked out of our apartment, he decided he would commit suicide to give us money to continue on. So at age 12, my dad committed suicide. I was raised Catholic, but we didn't really go to church very much, and then of course after this it kind of devastated my mom. And my sister was older. She was already in college at that point, and so again, I just lived a life, and I always had an interest in God. Never lost my faith in God, but I just didn't understand the Catholic faith. But eventually, I decided that it was time for me to help have this not happen to other people. So I decided to become a physician. I went to University of California, San Diego, got a psychology degree because I thought if I didn't get into medical school, I would at least be a psychologist and help people prevent suicide. So I decided it was time to do that. Went back to University of Arizona for medical school, and then did my residency at Harvard UCLA in emergency medicine. And I decided at that time that we weren't really teaching people how to think. Even in medical school, yes, they're certainly much better, but back in the day, even much worse today, unfortunately, we regurgitate facts rather than give people the tools for them to really discern and to do critical thinking. So I became full-time faculty at Stanford University, then at Chapel Hill, and then part-time clinical faculty at a number of schools, including OHSU and University of Washington, Emory University. But I got out of academics because I wanted to practice. And so I set up ERs all over the country, trained physicians, and one day I was installing a medical director. It was in California actually, and I finally let my ego go and said, God, you've got to fix what's going on, because I was seeing in the ER, this is the early 2000s, that I was seeing suicide attempts with children. So ER doctors were the frontline doctors, and I saw that there were an increased number. And sure enough, a study came out in 2017 that between 2007 and 2017, there was a 50% increase in suicide attempts in children. And so I thought, well, this is weird. I mean, we're not talking about teenagers. We're talking about children, 8-year-olds and 10-year-olds and 12-year-olds. I said, well, what's going on here? And so I said to God, I said, you need to fix this. And this is the scary part of the story. God has a sense of humor, picks clueless sinners like myself. And so we heard about, my wife is also a physician, we heard about the Shroud of Turin. And I always had an interest in the science of between the Shroud of Turin. And so we went on our first ever Eucharist pilgrimage, which took us to the Shroud of Turin in 2015. And there, we got all this materials from both the pilgrimage company as well as the Vatican, saying, well, it could be a medieval forgery, we're not quite sure what it is. So we went there to see it in May of 2015. And when you see the Shroud of Turin, actually I think it's supposed to be opened up again this year in 2025, when you're about 10 feet away from it, I've seen traumatized patients, and I saw this as exactly described in the Bible. And I thought, oh, there's something more to this story than meets the eye. And then 2 days later, we're at the Lanciano Eucharistic Miracles, 750 AD. And so after seeing these two, I started to connect the dots, and that's what we're trained as doctors, right, is pattern recognition. And I saw that there might be some patterns in here, so I started doing research, and having been faculty experience, I know how to do research, and I realized there was all this data out there showing that there really was a resurrection. There really, Shroud of Turin really is the burial cloth of Jesus Christ, and Eucharistic miracles, it really is Jesus Christ, but no one knew this. And so that led me to Father Robert Spitzer, and in 2015 also, and that's how I started this, and I've been doing these talks since 2015. And so that's how I ended up coming to this point, because I realized that we live in a culture that has difficulty telling the truth, and that is really what's so important. I am the way, the truth, and the life. And remember also Jesus in John 8 says, and you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Once you know that you have an immortal soul, that changes the equation, right? Once you know you have an immortal soul, you are loved into existence, that changes how you see life and how you interact. There really is a home. Our real home is in heaven. Mother Earth we need to take care of, but Earth is not our mother. Both the material world and the immaterial world were created by God, and He loved us into existence, and He wants us to all join, and that process is through the Eucharist. And so He gave us a means so that we could, He loved us how we are, but wants us to join Him in heaven. And that's why the Eucharistic feast, it's the wedding feast. We're joined in that family. We're part of His family. And that's what the father of lies is upset about. We get to join Father in heaven. Remember, in Revelation it says that Jesus is on the right hand. So He sees our wounds, just like they saw in the upper room. He sees us, so He sees our humanity. And that's what the father of lies is upset about. The Eucharist is really the way to heaven.